Dennis, and welcome back to the Texas Motor Speedway for today's Samsung RadioShack 500 for the play-by-play version here at the Texas Motor Speedway for today's race, the 7th race of the 2003 Winston Cup Series season. So this should be a lot of fun. If you guys haven't seen the in-car footage or in-car video, go ahead and watch that. It was the last iRacing video that was uploaded, or the last video that was uploaded, so be sure to check that out. But before we jump into today's race, let's take a look at the point standings. So Ryan Newman continues to extend his championship lead, now ahead of Ricky Rudd in second, and Matt Kenseth, who's been Newman's closest competitor thus far early in the going, fell down to fourth after a not-so-good finish at Bristol. But there is a lot of time left in the season in order for him to gain those points back that he lost at Bristol, and today could be that day. But I think now is the time to go on ahead and jump to the starting lineup for the start of today's race. So to kick off the starting lineup here at Texas, we have in row number 1, we have Ryan Newman, the Winston Cup Series point leader, and Kevin Harvick to his outside. Row number 2 is Tony Stewart and Bill Elliott. Row 3 is Kerry Earnhardt, making his first start in the 2002 Winston Cup Series season, and to his outside is Jeff Gordon. Row 4, Jamie McMurray with an amazing qualifying run at Dale Jarrett to his outside. Row 5 is Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch. Row 6, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson, who won last time out at Bristol, as a matter of fact. Row 7 is Bobby Labonte and Jeff Burton. Row 8, Robbie Gorn with a good qualifying effort, and Terry Labonte to his outside. Row 9, Michael Waltrip looking to continue the top 5 and top 10 streak he's been going on as of late, and Elliott Sadler to his outside. Then row 10, Sterling Marlin and Jeff Green looking to get a good finish today. Row 11, Tony Raines and John Andretti. Row 12 is Rusty Wallace and Kyle Petty. Row 13, Ricky Rudd and Gray Biffle. Row 14 is Jerry Nadeau and Ward Burton. Row 15 is Zachary Smithley and Jeremy Mayfield. Row 16, Joe Nemechek and Johnny Benson. Row 17 is Steve Park and Todd Bodine. Row 18, Jimmy Spencer and Ricky Craven. Row 19 is Dave Blaney and Mark Martin. Then in row 20, it is Casey Mears, who scored his first top 10 of the season at Bristol last time out, and Kenny Wallace. Then row 21, it is Ken Schrader and Jack Sprague. Then right out the field in row 22 is another driver making his first start of the 2003 season, Kirk Shelmerdine. He's also a part of the Rookie of the Year class, so we'll see how many races he'll be able to qualify for, which hasn't been much so far this season. And then we have the D&Qs for today, which are Mike Skinner, Brett Bodine, Larry Foyt, Christian Fittipaldi, and Morgan Shepherd. Mike Skinner, for the second week in a row, misses a race, and Larry Foyt actually had an oil problem in practice, and the leak was too bad, and they couldn't get it fixed in time for qualifying. So unfortunately, Larry Foyt had to give up his qualifying position, or qualifying time, and give it to Kirk Shelmerdine, who was able to make it into the race. And then we have a couple interesting things to know for today. It's an 83-lap race, which is about almost 125 miles. The pit window is lap 41 to 50. Tires will be around lap 41 to 44, and fuel is pretty much lap 42 all the way to lap 50. Will there be fuel and tire strategy today, just like back at Atlanta? And can we possibly have yet another new winner? Jimmy Johnson, last time out of Bristol, was the first or the 5th different winner so far of 2003. So today will be interesting, but the car to beat, it seems like all week, has been Ryan Newman in that all-tell Dodge. So we're going to see who has anything for him today. But let's send it up to Mike Joy, Larry Mack, and Darrell Waltrip to lead us to the green flag.
They're ready for us, Darrell. They know, don't they? I love it. Thank you very much. Pace car is in turn 4, ready to drop off the banking and send us off for 500 miles.
DW, we're going to be driving off in these corners at almost 200 miles an hour. Please reach up there and pull them belts one more time.
I'm ready to go, big guy. The gauges are looking good. Coming to get the green.
Boogity, 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 boys. Let's go racing today.
Down the front straightaway, Ryan Newman will lead the first lap here at Texas. 1 down, 82 more to go. These drivers are going to be searching for different lines to run, different rooms to run, see what works best for their cars. And we're going to see a lot of different racing today. around Texas, especially down in turns 1 and 2 with how wide open it is compared to 3 and 4. He's looking back to Robbie Gore, who actually had a really good qualifying session, the way we mentioned earlier, and right now, keeping up to it. Running inside the top 10, just behind Jeff Gore. There's Kevin Harvick. He's searching up there. He started second, and he's all the way back. That outside line is not working for him. As you can tell, he's pretty much slipped outside the top 10 because of his little excursion to try to find something different this early in the going. But one of the things these drivers have to keep in mind is that turns 1 and 2 is obviously completely different compared to 3 and 4. So any form of an advantage that they think they might be able to get, we're going to have to try to find it soon and find it quick, as Johnson makes it 3 wide on his teammate Gordon Earnhardt Jr. He's going to pass both of them coming off the corner. He grabs P7 from that. Junior down to 8th, Gordon in 9th, Harvick in 10th. Now Harvick and Junior are going to go at it, so is Gordon. Kind of slipped a little bit in 3 and 4, and that allowed Harvick to his outside. Going to get an advantage to try to get him, and he does. He's going to stay ahead of Gordon. And the other Gordon, Robbie, gets a little bit checked up by Jeff. But all too good, no harm, no foul, as now Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Johnson are side by side. There's actually a 3-way battle up ahead between Kenseth, McMurray, and Elliott. You see Kerry Earnhardt in the 83 having a pretty good, solid run so far. Thought he would have slipped back a little bit in the field, but he's maintained P3 pretty much since he passed those 3 drivers. Kerry thought he had a feeling that he might have slipped back early in the going here at Texas because he hasn't driven a Cup car in a little bit, so it's a good thing he's up in P3, and especially for him. He definitely didn't know if he was going to be up in a good position, but he is running pretty well right now. As you see Kurt Busch in the 97, he's making a little bit of a charge through the field, trying to get to the outside of Jimmy Johnson and try to maybe go side by side with him down the straightaway. He won't quite get to him, but he will get to the outside in 1 and 2, excuse me. And Jeff Gordon is actually coming back a little bit. He's going to try to follow his teammate on the inside. So he's going to work wonders. Johnson slid up a little bit now to check up, and that's going to bring back a lot of these drivers like Robbie Gore, Rusty Walsdale, Jared Dale Jr., and Jeff Burton. 3 and 4 seems to be the magic spot for Johnson so far. And it seems like he's able to hold the position. Just got to be very, very wary of what's going on around him. You see Kurt running all the way up on the outside. It seems like he might have gotten a little tight going into 1 and 2, and that kind of hurt him a little bit. If you look at the 80 of Zachary making a little bit of a charge through the field. He started down in 29th, and right now he's cracked the top 15. He's had quite a pretty good start so far today. It's just up ahead of him is his boss, Jeff Gordon, who is side by side with Kurt Busch. And Kurt's Roush teammate, Jeff Burton, is in front of him, and now Zach's going to go to the inside of his boss. Try to take the position away from him, which is going to be for 13th. And Robbie Gore to the 31, he is running inside the top 10, so this is a really, really good run for Robbie Gore so far. And Jeff Burton will not be able to get around the 31. Seems like Robbie's going to hold it. Robbie needs a good run, especially with the position he is in points. He needs solid runs. He can't just be lying around back in the 40s, because now he has the chance of missing a race. And you see further behind him, you see Zachary actually making a move on Gordon and Kurt Busch to grab those positions. Good himself up into 12th. We look further ahead as we see Kerry Earnhardt in 3rd, Tony Stewart running 4th, and Ryan Newman, the race leader, now coming to 73 laps to go here at Texas. Still a long ways to go, still a pit stop to make, which will be in about around 29-ish laps, maybe 31 or 29 to 31 or 32 laps. Got Tony in 2nd, Kerry Earnhardt 3rd, Kenseth in 4th, rookie Jamie McMurray's in 5th, good run for him. Bill Elliott in 6th, Harvick is back up to 7th, Rusty's in 8th, Johnson's in 9th, and there's Robbie Gore in 10th. Then Burton 11th, Zachary 12th, Junior 13th. The battle for 14th and 16th going on between Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon for 14th. And Bobby Labonte and Dale Jarrett for 16th. Kurt Busch will grab 14th. Gorham falls to 15th. Labonte is still side by side with Dale Jarrett for 16th. But so far, Jeff Gordon having a pretty good run. Pretty decent run. Jeff Gordon, so far, he hasn't really shown a lot of pace up at the front. He hasn't really been able to be up at the front, but hopefully here soon he will be. As we look back a little bit to find the next new driver, which is Kirk Shelmerdine, making his first Cup Series start here at the Texas Motor Speedway. He has DNQ'd for 3 or 4 races so far this season. But like we said at the beginning, because of Larry Floyd having an oil problem and them not being able to fix it in time for qualifying, Larry unfortunately had to give up his qualifying time and give it to Kirk Shelmerdine. And Kirk did race his way in, just barely beating Mike Skinner in the 4. And right now he's doing a pretty good job. He's maintaining a good position, just ahead of Jimmy Spencer in the 7. There's a little bit further ahead. There's Tony Raines in the 74, having a pretty good run. Michael Waltrip with the 15. Not doing too hot, but he is, maybe, you never know what'll happen as this race continues on. Past few weeks, he's been showing up a lot as of recent. And there you see Ricky Rudd, who's got his best finish of the season last time out at Bristol. So you never know what'll happen. But here is Zachary passing Jeff Burton for 11th now. He's going to go around the outside just fine, and he clears him. One of the things these drivers have to keep in mind is their tire wear. Zachary was pretty much the main tester for how fast the tires can wear around here, and if you don't take care of your tires enough, especially if you enter turns 1 and 2 and you don't woe it down and you don't get on the binders too much, and you just kind of full set it into the corner, you do burn up your tires a lot more. And it was around lap 12 is when the tires would go in practice, but he's doing a pretty good job maintaining his tires as he's already up to 11th. Could be running down Robbie Gordon to get a top 10 right now. There's a little bit ahead to the battle between Bill Elliott, Matt Kenseth, and Jamie McMurray. Battle going on for 4th. Kenseth is ahead of McMurray now, who is down to 6th, and Kenseth up to 5th. He's got to have a good points day because back at Bristol, he had a lot of bad luck come his way, and he wasn't really able to capitalize on his championship competitor, who had a pretty good race. And Kenseth was having a good race at one point as well, but just a lot of mistakes and a lot of costly errors cost him a lot of points on the current race leader and the current Winston Cup Series point leader, Ryan Newman, who retook the point lead at Vegas from Matt Kenseth. Or excuse me, back at Darlington. Because it was Kenseth who took it at Atlanta. Ever since Darlington, Newman has had it since. So Kenseth's going to try to maybe find some more points. He's got to get up to the front though and get to Newman, because Newman's going to be his closest competitor pretty much as the season progresses. We go through the field, jumping all the way to the back of the field where you see Joe Nemechek, Kyle Petty, Elliott Sadler, Jack Sprague having a good run. Jack Sprague was actually the first DNF last time out at Bristol, so we're going to have a bounce back after that. And Mark Martin in the 6th, not doing too good. Now there's Warburton or before Casey Mears, who ended up getting his first top 10 finish last time out. First career top 10 finish, last time out at Bristol. So right now the two rookies take up the final 2 positions, the 42nd and 43rd, and then Ryan Newman continues right in the lead. And he's still got a ways to go until he catches the back of the field, where he will find Casey Mears and Gray Biffle first. But Newman doesn't really have to worry about a whole lot, as Tony is quite a ways back, about 2.5 seconds back now from him. As McMurray ended up repassing Kenseth to grab 5th back. So now McMurray's going to be able to stay ahead of Kenseth for a little bit longer. Kevin Harvick still trying to search his way back up through the field. Rusty Wallace is needing some good finishes because he's finished in the bottom 3 positions more recent as of late, since Atlanta. It's not been good for Rusty. Bristol was like the only time he didn't finish that far down the order. Still wasn't the greatest finish for Rusty, though. He needs a better one. And then right back to Kerry Earnhardt in the 83. kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit, but if his car did load in, he would have had a nice errand scheme for today's race. It was so good looking. It's unfortunate that it didn't load in at all. Wish it did. But we do what we got to do, and we just go with the flow pretty much. And Tony Stewart, pretty much the highest he's run pretty much since Daytona. This is the highest he's ran in a minute. So him being up here and being this close to the lead with Ryan Newman leading, this could be Tony's chance to shine, especially if he can catch Newman, or if he can't catch Newman, try to maybe catch him off guard on the pit stops and try to maybe do a little undercut to try to grab the lead and lead his first laps of the season. But Newman, as of right now, is just kind of holding his own, maintaining the lead since lap 1. Newman has led every single lap so far this race. You see Newman, Tony, and Kerry Earnhardt coming across. Get some camera shots down off of turn number 4. And now down into 1. Harvick ended up passing Kenseth, so Kenseth's down to 7th, and Harvick's up to 6th. See the cars all whizzing by. And all the way to the back of Kirk Shelmerdine. And we have the cars coming off of turn 4, obviously. I mean, it's... You guys have known this since the camera turned over here. But it's nice seeing these cars going by at 140, 150 miles per hour coming off of turn number 4. Probably more, probably 160. Definitely a lot more action going on in the back. As you see Ken Schrader, who made his way into the show. So trying to have some good finishes so he can get out of that top 35. Right on board one of the drivers, looks like it was Jack Sprague. We're going to get a couple aerial shots from the blimp and the chopper. I don't know what the hell I just happened right there, but we went all the way back to Ryan Newman. And there we go. We found the right camera. We found the right camera that we were using. Looks like Murray's going to try to go for 4th on Bill Elliott. He might be a little bit close. And he will. He'll get him in turn 3. The rookie Jamie McMurray trying to maybe notch his 2nd career Winston Cup Series win today here at Texas. It was only last season that Jamie McMurray got his first career win, substituting for Sterling Marlin, who ended up having his season cut short due to a neck and spine injury that took him out of the 2002 season and the chase for the championship that year, which ultimately Tony Stewart, who was running 2 positions ahead of McMurray, ended up winning. Look at Robbie Gordon, maintaining P10 just ahead of Zachary in the 80. Things haven't gone Robbie's way so far this season, but he is hoping that maybe this race will turn it around, as he, like I said before, he's needing some good finishes to get out of that go or go home bracket. The good news for Robbie is that he is showing up tonight. And Zachary is trying to gain. Zachary's either trying to gain on Robbie or he's trying to savor his tires, and he might be savoring his tires. As we look a little bit ahead to Harvick and Kenseth, who seems like Kenseth may have had a little bit of a run on Harvick to try to grab 6. But the thing is that Harvick is just able to get a better bite off the corner to stay ahead of Kenseth. But going into turn 1, Kenseth's got the bottom, but Harvick is going to perfectly place his car just right in front of Kenseth, and Kenseth's going to have to try again. It might get him down the back into 3 if he can just get up alongside of him, pull a McMurray, but he can't. Can't quite get there as Harvick stays ahead as we now head to the exit of 4. And Harvick maintains the position over Kenseth. So Kevin Harvick, who started 2nd today, definitely trying to make up some positions after his little excursion to the outside of the start of the race did not go quite as well for him. But it did work out for Ryan Newman a heck of a lot more, because now he doesn't got anybody to worry about for pretty much the remainder of the race. It is until pit stops occur, which will be occurring here in about 10-ish laps. The main question is going to be, who is going to be the first driver to take advantage of it? How badly do you want tires in this race? It seems as of right now, these drivers are going to be savoring their tires, and they might save their tires more coming out of the first pit stop, but also, this could be another thing of Atlanta. Tire wear is going to be a big thing, and even though your crew might be able to get the tires on and everything, the question is going to be fuel, which is what ended up taking out both Ryan Newman and Tony Stewart late in the going to go for the win back at Atlanta. So not only do you have to keep an eye on your tires, we also have to keep an eye on your fuel, and the crew also has to keep an eye on the fuel, and if it goes in, and hoping that they give you enough to make it to the end. That was one of the main reasons why Bill Elliott ended up winning at Atlanta, even though he was running pretty much second to Ryan Newman all race, or pretty much the majority of the race, and he was kind of Newman's main issue. He benefited from it very well, so maybe today he might be able to, if it were to happen again. As we look now to Robbie Gorn actually getting passed by Jeff Burton for 10th. Zach ended up getting passed by Burton at one point. He's now back down to 12th. Zach is reporting that his tires are going away and that he is plowing in the corner. He's getting tight on. He's getting tight on corner exit. You see Bobby Labonte and Dale Jarrett going at it for position. Labonte will get ahead of Jarrett. And right behind these two is Jeff Gordon in the 24. And now Jeff Burton, who did not have a good Bristol race, has now cracked the top 10, whilst his teammate Matt Kenseth. It seems like Newman got a little bit tight coming off the corner, or not a little bit tight, but got a little bit loose coming off the corner. That might be an indicator that his tires are going away. As you can see, Tony Stewart and Kerry Earnhardt are actually catching Newman a little bit now, because Newman is kind of getting a little loose in the corners. Tires can do one or two things depending on how worn out they are. They can make it extremely tight or extremely loose. And right now, because of Newman's car and the way that it's handling, Tony's actually closed the gap from pretty much 2.5 seconds to almost under a second. Newman's just barely hanging on, but also Tony's dragging along Kerry Earnhardt in the 83. So Kerry's actually staying in the fight too. You see Newman's car bobbing a little bit as he hits the center of 1 and 2. In the case of Tony, he really doesn't have the same issues as Newman does, but he's definitely paying attention to that Alltel Dodge and seeing what kind of mistakes that 12 car ends up making, because it's going to be detrimental to Newman towards the end of this race. Because of his car acting like that, he's definitely not making the tires happy. That definitely is pretty much his tires telling him it's almost time for a pit stop, which is coming in about 5 laps. Tony is slowly closing the gap. So is Kerry. Kerry's closing the gap too. But also, I think Newman might be trying to back it down a little bit because the lap traffic is just ahead of him, which begins with Kirk Shelmerdine. So Newman might be trying to avoid getting into lap traffic before making his pit stops, but it kind of depends. Lap traffic could be your best friend or your worst enemy. Newman ran a little bit higher in 1 and 2 compared to Tony, who pretty much wrapped it all the way around the bottom and was still able to keep about the same amount of time on Newman when Newman just ran a little bit up from the bottom compared to Tony. But now Newman still maintaining the position, still maintaining the lead. And Tony just trying to see where he can maybe get a little bit more on Newman. Problem is, though, is now Newman's running a different line compared to Tony, and that might be because the bottom line is actually getting more slicker, more hotter. And Newman might be recognizing that, and he might be going up and seeing exactly what's going on up at the higher parts of the track. Those ones might end up actually being better than the bottom line. See what Newman does in 1 and 2. He does run a little bit higher. Tony kind of follows him a little bit. Because he is running a little bit lower than Newman, which is what's allowing Newman to actually now pull away from Tony again and allow Kerry Earnhardt to catch Tony again. Or catch Tony this time around. Tony trying to search for whatever he can to try to catch the 12, but who knows at this rate? And J.M. McMurray in the 42 is right now the next car in line to maybe try to pass the 83 and the 20 if they continue to make mistakes. It looks like Newman has found a really good line to work with here to get him a better edge over Tony and Kerry Earnhardt. Next time by it'll be lap 41. It'll be 40 laps out of this run. Drivers will be definitely thinking about making pit stops here soon. As there we go, 40 laps completed, 43 to go. When do you make your pit stop, and how do you execute the pit stop? You look a little bit further back to a lot of drivers. See Rusty making a move on Kenseth. Seems like Rusty knows that the pit stops are coming, and maybe Kenseth might be wanting to go into the pits. It just depends. Rusty definitely ain't, though, as he's going to carry the momentum around the outside and pass Kenseth to grab the position on him. As you see back here, a little bit further back, Zachary almost got into Rudd, but Zach has been reporting that his car is tighter, more so than usual was. Is this Zachary actually coming into the pits? He allowed Junior by him. He's slower than Labonte. He is coming into the pits. So Zachary is going to trigger the first wave of pit stops. And we're going to see how the rest of these drivers react to Zachary pitting now. As we got the pit row cam sponsored by Budweiser. See Zachary making his pit stop. See Ryan Newman's going to lap him. The hope for Zach is that a caution doesn't come out, because that was one of the things that put him a lap down back at Bristol. He does not want that happening again. So Ryan Newman continues to stay out, but because of that, it's allowing Tony Stewart and Kerry Earnhardt to actually catch him. So pitting here soon is definitely going to be on the table for Newman. It's just a matter of when will he pit, because now we're past halfway. We have 40 laps to go. And pretty much from here to lap 50 is when you've got to make a decision whether or not you want to pit. And in this case, if Newman is to remain the race leader at the end of these pit cycles, he might want to pit now. So it looks like he's going to go down the track and make it known. Tony Stewart and Kerry Earnhardt are looking to do the exact same thing. Tony kind of runs a little bit higher, but I think Tony still wants to go into the pits. And here they come. Here come the leaders. Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart, Kerry Earnhardt, Jamie McMurray, Bill Elliott, Kevin Harvick, Rusty Wallace, Jimmy Johnson, the Roush teammates of Kenseth and Burton. There's Robbie Gorin, the other Roush driver of Kurt Busch. There's Rudd, Earnhardt Jr., Labonte, Jarrett Gordon. Nadeau stays out. So Nadeau, Waltrip, and Steve Park actually stay out. And Nadeau might actually try to maybe lead a lap here. You see 3 others stayed out right there, and then you got a few more that have stayed out. There's Zachary in the 80, who's the first one on fresher tires in this bunch of cars. As Ryan Newman and the others come out of the pits, looks like all these drivers are going to come down pit road as well, starting with Nadeau. And this, from Nadeau all the way back to Kirk Shelmerdine, will finish off these round of pit stops. And every driver should be good at the end. You see Nadeau coming in. He unfortunately will not lead a lap, but Michael Waltrip in the 15 will. That's 5 bonus points for Waltrip. And because Newman's pretty much led every single lap, he's got the 5 extra bonus points almost immediately, especially when he hit halfway. So maybe he'll definitely lead one more lap and then he'll hit it. But yeah, Newman is now back out front, back out ahead of Tony, and ahead of Kerry Earnhardt. So Ryan Newman making a good strategy call and staying ahead of Tony and Kerry Earnhardt as we look a bit further back. You see Zachary in the 80, who came in a few laps before the race leaders did, is now behind Junior. And he was that way coming out of the, or before going into the pit stops. It was just he was super slow, and that was one of the main reasons why he was able to beat or get passed by Junior. Zachary gets a nice run out of 3 and 4 to take the advantage up to the outside of Junior and pass him on the straight, entering 1 and 2. And there goes Zach sweeping to the inside. What a move by the young man. Good job, Zach. Right out ahead of Dale Jr. in the 8. See, Robbie Gorn is ahead of Ricky Rudd. Then it's Kurt, Kenseth, Burton, McMurray, Johnson, Rusty, then Harvick, and then Bill Elliott. He's got some lap traffic ahead of him. There's Kerry Earnhardt just to the outside of Kirk Shelmerdine. They're pretty much the identical cars, but kind of what happens when they don't load in the paint schemes. And then there's Tony just behind Ken Schrader and Dave Blaney. This is pretty much now going to be a race to the finish if they don't need to make another pit stop by the end of this race, as pretty much Newman has guaranteed that he's going to get the 10 bonus points, or the 5 extra bonus points for leading the most laps today. Newman just maintaining the lead. He's now got 2 lap cars in between himself and Tony, but he's definitely going to have more, starting with Elliott Sadler just ahead of him in the 38. And he's going to have to deal with Andretti and a boatload more. But if and when he has to deal with that, it's going to be even harder for Tony, because he's going to, if Newman gets around him, Tony's got to get around him eventually too. But first, he's got to get around Schrader and Blaney in order for that to happen. You see just up ahead, it is Mark Martin, John Andretti, and Elliott Sadler are the next 2 drivers for Newman to get around. This is either going to be really, really easy on Newman, or this is going to be really, really difficult on him. As now he's going to come off 4 and get 33 laps to go here at Texas. Can he hang on for 33 more laps? Did he put enough fuel in the car? That's going to be the main concern, is if they put enough fuel in the car. This is one of the main, because like we said before, this is one of the main reasons why Ryan Newman ended up losing back at Atlanta. And it wasn't pretty for him, as he ended up losing a bunch of points and even the championship lead. You see Kerry Earnhardt is now pretty much in the sights. It has Tony Stewart pretty much in his sights, because he got around his lap traffic, and Tony still hasn't been able to catch and pass Blaney and Schrader, but also Newman hasn't caught the other 3 lap cars ahead of him. So Tony definitely has some leeway and definitely still has enough time to get around him as we go further and further back of the field. There's Zachary in the 80, still trying to maybe catch Robbie Gordon. You got Junior, Labonte, Jarrett, Waltrip, Spencer, Gordon, Park, Nadu, Rains, Green, Bodine, Mayfield, Craven, Benson, Marlin. Just so many different drivers, and all the way back to Ryan Newman has finally got around. Actually, no, Dave Blaney has already been behind him. But Tony Stewart's looking to the inside of Ken Schrader, actually, to put 1 car in between him and Newman, and put 1 car in between him and Kerry Earnhardt. But Schrader definitely is not going to let up that easily. He's going to fight back on the outside. And yeah, Tony almost cleared him off of 4, but Schrader's like, nah, you're going to have to earn it. They have 30 to go now. Dave Blaney's actually catching Newman, and Tony, because he's fighting Schrader, is allowing Kerry Earnhardt to catch him, and Kerry's going to go to the outside. He's going to be side by side of the back straightaway, and Kerry Earnhardt will now take 2nd place. What a run for Kerry. He gets out ahead of Tony, who now falls down to 3rd, and now we'll see if Kerry Earnhardt has anything for the 2 lap cars ahead of him, and if he can get to Ryan Newman in the 12th. That'll be the main question, if Ryan Newman can get to the, or if Kerry Earnhardt can get to the back bumper of Ryan Newman, and if Ryan Newman can clear more lap traffic to put more distance between him and 2nd. Especially with Dave Blaney catching him, that's going to be a big if. So far for Ryan Newman, he's able to maintain being ahead of Blaney being able to keep 2 cars in between himself and Kerry Earnhardt, who's now second place. But he is slowly getting closer to Elliott Sadler in the 38 because he is trying to put more distance between him and second. We've been trying to grab his third win of the season. Kerry's still trying to get his first career cup win. And Tony is trying to get his first win of the 2003 season. And with Tony not running too well in the point stand, or not being well, or not seated well in the point standings, he definitely needs a really good run. Even if it ain't a win, a second or a third would definitely work. As Kerry now is actually pulling away from Tony. So this is definitely not what Tony thought what Tony had in mind. He didn't think that someone making their first 2003 start was going to outrun him almost immediately. And Ryan Newman looks like he got a nice run off of 4, and he's going to carry that momentum around the outside of Elliott Sadler to put him a lap down. But he goes way too high in turns 1 and 2. Sadler actually unlaps himself. But Newman's gonna stay. He's gonna stay in form. Because of doing that, that allows Kerry Earnhardt to catch him a little bit more. But Newman's gonna stay up on the outside and maybe try to get another good run. But he gets a little bit loose in 3. That's gonna put him back right behind Elliott Sadler. As we now have 25 laps to go here at Texas. Newman's gonna slot back in behind Sadler and try to do something different. He's going to try the middle line, see if he can get a good run off of 2 and carry it down the back straightaway and maybe get a pass on Sadler going into 3. It's just behind him, Schrader and Dave Blaney are actually trading positions. But it seems like Newman's going to stay right behind Sadler in the 38. But in doing so, he's actually burning up his tires, kind of like how Tony was when he was fighting Schrader. And why he kind of gave up the position to Kerry Earnhardt like it was no problem. Now, speaking of Tony, he's actually got Kyle Petty behind him, who's trying to maybe make something happen. There you see back in 3rd, or 4th, excuse me, is Bill Elliott with Harvick in 4th. And now head a little bit further back, as Zachary ended up actually getting passed by Dale Jr. at some point. So Jr. is actually back out ahead of Zach. We head all the way back through the field. Seen a lot of different drivers. We haven't seen a whole lot. Ryan Newman is actually going to get hounded on again by Dave Blaney in the 77. He's still not able to get around Elliott Sadler, which I thought by now he would have already gotten around him. And Kerry actually hasn't been able to stick behind the 2 lap cars and try to maybe make something happen if a mistake is made. And Sadler actually checks up a little bit off in the middle of 4, which allows Newman to his outside. Now is Newman going to try to get around him entering turns 1 and 2? They're still side by side. He's going to run all the way, well, not all the way to the outside, but he's going to run the outside line. Going to try to get a nice run in the center, and he will. And Ryan Newman is finally going to put Elliott Sadler a lap down and put 3 cars between him and Kerry. That was a nice run around the outside by Ryan Newman in the 12. It also kind of looked like that Sadler may have been wanting to pit. But he may have second-guessed it, and there's a possibility that he got told by his crew chief to not do it, which ended up costing him, and it allowed Newman to get out ahead of him and put him a lap down. So you see Tony Stewart has actually caught Kerry Earnhardt. Kerry may have made a little bit of a mistake. And Tony's going to try to run the outside. Is he going to get a good run off? Doesn't look like it. Oh, nope, he does. Kerry actually kind of checked up a little bit coming off of 4. And Tony's going to go right around the outside and grab second. Now it's a matter of if he can catch Ryan Newman in the 12. Because now there are 20 laps to go in this race. What will happen in these final 20 laps will be the ultimate deciding factor on who wins this race. And Ryan Newman is actually pitting. Ryan Newman is on pit road. And Tony and Kerry are on pit road as well. That's what's going to happen. Ryan Newman is on pit road. Bill Elliott, Harvick, Burton, Johnson, and Kenseth are 2. But Rusty Wallace and McMurray stay out. Who knew that would be the deciding factor for the end of this race? Rusty Wallace, who hasn't led a lap since Atlanta, is now out front at Texas. And his main competitor at Atlanta, Bill Elliott, ended up pitting this time. What in the world is going on? They must not have saved their tires, and they definitely did not put enough fuel in the car, so that was one of the main reasons why they came down pit road. But for the first time today, it's not Ryan Newman leading this race. Instead, it's his teammate, Rusty Wallace. Well, now it's Rusty, McMurray, and Kurt Busch, the top 3, and they're all pretty much under a second of each other. So you see Kevin Harvick coming out of the pits. He's gonna be right in front of McMurray. What a shocking turn of events here at Texas. As we're almost into the final 15 laps here. So right on board with McMurray, who has Kevin Harvick behind him, who is on fresher tires. He's going to try to maybe make quick... He's made quick work of McMurray, and he's going to try to make quick work of Rusty as well. And McMurray's going to try to follow him through as Rusty runs the outside of McMurray. Is going to take the lead here at Texas. He's also going to lead his first lap. Rusty tries to come back a little bit, but it's not enough. Jamie McMurray is out front here at Texas, with Rusty in second behind him, with 16 laps to go. Their next closest competitor is Kurt Busch in the 97, which is shocking to say, but it's also shocking to say that Jamie McMurray is leading again. Jamie McMurray trying to win for the second time of his career, and Rusty trying to win for the first time since 2001. He went the entirety of last season without a win. What will Rusty do to try to maybe get a win this season? Right on board with Rusty now. He's got to try to find any little way of trying to pass Jamie McMurray any way he can. It looks like he's going to do it. McMurray checked off a 4. But it seems like McMurray pulled up right in front of Rusty at the right time, which checked up Rusty and allowed Jamie to keep the lead. Now here comes Johnson in the 48 and Burton in the 99. Seems like Rusty and McMurray are just going to go to the outside and let them pass him. Unless something happens and McMurray goes high and Rusty's going to slam into him. They make contact in 3. Rusty Wallace is back out front at Texas. But we all know that McMurray isn't going to stop. We all know McMurray isn't going to back down and give up. As we're right on board with Rusty, now we're right on board with McMurray. McMurray has 13 laps, 13 chances to try to catch the first place driver and pass him in Rusty Wallace. To go at the line. You see Robbie going to the 31. He's got fresher tires. Is he going to make this difficult on Jamie? He's going to go to the outside of him. He's going to try to pass him the long way around. McMurray pulls the block on him. And he maintains second for now. And there goes Robbie right on the inside of him. And that's perfect for Rusty. Now with 11 laps to go. As now with this, Robbie is actually pushing McMurray back and preventing him from catching Rusty. But McMurray's going to go right around the outside of Robbie Gorn and put him behind him again. But will it be the end of that or no? And it looks like it will be. Rusty's going to try everything he can to win for the first time since 2002. Excuse me, 2001. And right now he's going to fend off a young, hot star in Jamie McMurray. But he's got to deal with Robbie Gorham first, as Robbie's going to pass him yet again in turns 1 and 2. And this time he's going to clear him down, coming off of 2. This works perfectly in the hands of Rusty Wallace. But you can see that Rusty's actually struggling a little bit, and that's allowed Robbie to catch him. There you see McMurray in the 42 just lurking in the backdrop. There goes Robbie. Now the fight is on again. It is now Rusty and McMurray. No lap cars in between them, but Rusty's going to try to go to the inside of Robbie Gorham to try to make a pass. And Robbie can't shut the door, but Rusty kind of almost forces it, but he gets tied in the corner. He snaps the car back into position. McMurray's going to try the lower line. Try to see if he can get around, get a run. He can't. Jamie McMurray trying to become just the second rookie in the 2003 rookie class to win a race this season. There's only been one of the rookies that have won so far, and it's Zachary in the 80 who runs in the top 10 now. Here comes McMurray. He's going to try the outside of Rusty. They're about side by side on the front straightaway. Rusty still leads. And they enter 1, and McMurray goes a little bit higher. Kenseth's going to split him, and that's going to push McMurray back. But because of that, Rusty's actually now stuck behind Kenseth, but McMurray can't go anywhere because Junior's to his inside. And McMurray goes too high in 3. But McMurray's going to keep fighting. He's going to follow Junior. Rusty made a mistake. Here comes McMurray. On the outside for the Texas. He's going to clear him going into 1. Can he get to the outside of Dale Jr. and get him? He doesn't look like he can. But Jamie McMurray is back out front at Texas with Rusty behind him. Here comes Rusty. He's on his inside. Rusty takes the lead back. Here comes Labonte. Trying to make it a little bit more difficult on McMurray. But McMurray's having none of it. Look at him go. Run the outside of McMurray, run the outside of Rusty, excuse me, to grab the lead. 5 to go. McMurray's on that outside, and Rusty's on the low line. Can he get a better run? It looks like he can. Is he ahead of Rusty? We'll swap to Rusty's cam. He is. Jamie McMurray is out front at Texas. What an amazing battle between these two. And McMurray can sail on by and continue to lead. As now Rusty's got Waltrip and Labonte to deal with, and they're going to go right around Rusty. Well, at least Labonte did, but not Waltrip. Not quite yet. Labonte's actually caught McMurray, but will McMurray actually keep him behind him just to be safe? Because now Waltrip has just passed Rusty, so he can probably let Labonte go. But McMurray's going to run the lower line. He checks up a little bit. Is going to allow Labonte to his outside. But Labonte's going to stay firm right behind the rookie. 3 to go. If there was any other way that you would want to grab your second career win, it'd be fighting one of the future Hall of Famers and future legend, or actually a current legend in the Cup Series. Having an amazing battle with him for almost 20 laps, for almost the last 20 laps. And McMurray with 2 to go just has to get around this place 2 more times. He's got about 3 miles left until he sees that oh so elusive white flag that he hasn't seen since Charlotte last season. McMurray gets a little bit loose in 4, but he won't mind it. He won't mind the fact that Labonte's going to his outside. White flag is out one more time at Texas. He'll let Labonte go. Rusty's falling back. Rusty fought so hard. His tires went away. McMurray still has some tire left. He's still pulling. Jamie McMurray last season subbed in for Sterling Marlin. He won in his second start. He missed the Daytona 500 earlier this season. He's had great runs so far. And here today at Texas, he's going to grab his second career win, and he's going to do it in style. Jamie McMurray wins the Samsung RadioShack 500 in Texas. Like I said before, what a way to grab your second career win by fighting off another legend and another future Hall of Famer, this time in Rusty Wallace. Great racing by the both of them. Great clean racing. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't think any of us can complain, but that was awesome. And this is where I come in and say, are you all not entertained? Because that was some badass racing. Good job to Jamie McMurray and the entire Chip Ganassi team. Well-deserved win. And definitely was not my number one pick to win. I mean, the majority of the race was dominated by Rusty's teammate. We all thought it was going to be Ryan Newman that would win this race, but not today. Not today. Again. But here are the finishing results of today's race. Jamie McMurray grabs his second career win here at the Texas Motor Speedway with Rusty Wallace in second. Ricky Rudd another top 5 in third. Kurt Busch fourth. Jeff Gordon fifth. Tony Raines with a top 10 in sixth. C. Park seventh. Newman in eighth. Zachary ninth. And Tony Stewart finishing in 10th. And then we got Kerry Earnhardt finishing in 11th as his first outing, with Jerry Nadeau in 12th, Ricky Craven at 13th, Bill Elliott 14th, Kenny Wallace in 15th, Elliott Sadler 16th, John Andretti 17th, Dave Blaney 18th, Ken Schrader with a top 20 in 19th, and Jeff Burton in 20th. And then it is Kevin Harvick in 21st, Jimmy Johnson 22nd, Kyle Petty 23rd, Casey Mears 24th, Ward Burton 25th, Jack Sprague 26th, Robbie Gordon 27th, Earnhardt Jr. 28th, Kirk Shelmerdine 29th, and Matt Kenseth 30th. Pretty good finish for Kirk Shelmerdine, a 29th place finish. And you got Bobby Labonte 31st, Michael Waltrip at 32nd, Jimmy Spencer 33rd, Jared in 34th, Jeff Green 35th, Marlon 36th, Greg Biffle 37th, Top 38th, Joe Nemechek 39th, and Terry Labonte in 40th. And here are the last three drivers with Johnny Benson 41st, Jeremy Mayfield 42nd, and Mark Martin finishes in last and 43rd. Definitely disappointing for all three, especially Johnny Benson, who got back-to-back top 10s. Mayfield has been pretty strong in the top 20, and Mark Martin just it's been a bit of a roller coaster for the number 6 team. So maybe they'll get back on track this season. Who knows? But it's so far not looking good for them. But let's go on ahead and take a look at the updated point standings coming out of today's race. So, after today's race, 2 drivers have actually cracked the 1,000 point column, with Ryan Newman and Ricky Rudd both cracking the 1,000 points, with Zachary Smithley now 3rd, with his boss right behind him in 4th. Got Harvick in 5th, Bill Elliott in 6th, Kurt Busch 7th, Matt Kenseth in 8th, Jimmy Johnson in 9th, and Michael Waltrip still remains in the top 10. Jamie McMurray, who won today, is up to 12th. Tony Stewart got a pretty good run, he's up to 14th. Rusty Wallace with a good run is up to 18th. And then you got a couple of drivers over on the right, over in the middle, like Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in 21st. Steve Park moves up to 24th. Johnny Benson falls down to 26th. And Tony Raines actually cracks the top 35 now, with Larry Foyt actually missing this race. So now it is Nadeau, Mears, Foyt, Schrader, Gordon, Robbie Gordon, Skinner, Sprague, Spencer, Atwood, Kerry Earnhardt, Mike Wallace, Pruitt, Shelmerdine, Fittipaldi, Buckshot Jones, Bodine, and Hermie Sadler, and whoever the other ones, or whoever else wants to race this season, that are a part of the Go or Go Homers. So it's going to be interesting as the season progresses, seeing who makes it in and who doesn't make it in, because so far we've gotten Kirk Shelmerdine, Kerry Earnhardt, and Brett Bodine as new drivers to make their presence known here this season. And I say it's going to be interesting to see who makes the show next time out, because the next race is the Aaron's 499 at Talladega, which in and of itself is pretty fucking terrifying if you think about it. Sorry for the language, but it's pretty damn terrifying. you don't know if you're going to be able to live through that race. You have no idea what's going to happen, and you really don't know how your race is going to go. But just let everyone know that race is going to be uploaded on July the 28th. If you guys know what July 28th means to me, then y'all will know how special this race is going to be to me when we get there. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification button down below for some more. I will see you all next week for the Aaron's 499 at Talladega. And a lot of drivers looking for a good race, and that's probably going to be one of them. But thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day, everyone. And goodbye.